Hi, welcome back to my channel. It is a work day in the garden. Today I have done some transplanting and was running my irrigation. I noticed what I think is a leak somewhere. So I'm going to show you some digging that I've done, and I'm going to turn the irrigation back on and see if we can figure out where the leak is coming from so I can fix it. So this is my irrigation setup. I have a timer here, so I can set it to manually run for a little while, and I'm gonna set it for like 20 minutes, and it'll start here in a second. There we go. All right, water's going through the system, so I'm gonna go to the bed that is maybe leaking. All right, this is my problem bed. Maybe. I think this is where we have an issue, because right over here on the side is where I found a puddle of water after I'd irrigated this morning for like an hour and 10 minutes. Where there's dark mud, that was just standing water. And that happens sometimes when we get a really big rain, water will pool there. So I've seen water go there before, but we've been dry for over a day now, so there's no reason for that to pool. So I came and I uncovered my little joint here that I'd made. I really thought this had failed because it made sense to me that the water went that way, kind of downhill, was coming from a failed joint. But my joint is nice and dry. I've given it an hour or two since the water was discovered to just dry out, and now that I've got the water turned back on, I'm watching this, and this is still dry. Where I see water is from under the bed. And I don't know if that's just going to take longer to dry from the first time, or if that's like an active leak. So that's potentially the issue. And looking at it from above, get you all focused again, there's water there, right at the bottom of here. So I don't know of what could have caused a leak down there, because the pipe and tubing has been pretty much left alone. Going along this way, we've got an irrigation line right here, so that's okay that that's dripping. I do have a little drip from this joint, but I don't think it's enough to have caused this massive puddle. So that's probably not the problem. This joint right here is dry as can be. This is my sunflower. Sorry, sunflower. This joint is like with the others, there's like a little drip, but it's not bad. I just think maybe that's down there at that joint. So I'm gonna watch it and see if I can figure this out. Well, I left this alone for the last 15 minutes, and suddenly the puddle is back. The water I only ran for like, I think 10, and it's a surprising amount of water for 10 minutes of runtime. All that puddle just showed up. So maybe it is just the irrigation seeping through. I only have my drip line, whatever, here. It's a good 8 inches away from the edge of the bed, so I wouldn't think that that would be enough to drip down like that. The other one's a little thrown to the side because I wanted to get it out of the way for my little digging. And looking at this corner here, this is dry. These joints are really not doing anything crazy. They're dry. Down there is pretty wet. So what I've decided is I'm gonna have to let this sit, dry out totally, maybe like tomorrow. Come out here with it dry and dug out all the way and just watch it. My other irrigation issue is back here, which is a lower priority because this is my shade garden, so I'm not planning anything super special back here. But I found something like chewing, some damage it looks like from probably animals, because these were completely flushed out over winter. They were not in use, there was no water in here. So I'm gonna mark the places that need repair, and if I have time this week, I'll get to it. But you see, it's kind of like a rough break there. I don't know what that was from. And let's go find the other ones. I know there were like 3. So this one is at my 1-inch line. There's a big break there. I do have more 1-inch, so I might be able to just replace that. And then on the same one, oh wow. Oh, it got me. I couldn't see it. Wow, that's a lot of water. This one right here, also, it's got like scratches in it to cause water to come out. Sad. So those are only 3 for the whole shade garden. Okay, it's the next day, bonus update. I have my irrigation lines dried out and it's been running for probably 3 or 4 minutes. This area is nice and dry, not a drop coming from the joints even. And then inside the bed, it's hard to see because of the way the sun is, but I've been reaching down there with dry hands and it's feeling dry, but I mean, obviously it's a little bit moist down there because it's so deep and sheltered from the sun, but it's not wet at all. There's no fresh moisture. And I even blocked off this first hole emitter with something to catch the water because I didn't want this water dripping down and confusing me, because I think yesterday that water was making it hard to know what was going on at the bottom. I'm running the irrigation for 10 minutes and I'm hoping that it's dry down there at the end of the 10 minutes. And if it is, I think I'll just rebury everything and decide that my beds are just pretty permeable with the timber. And that's how water was getting out. So, fingers crossed. Okay, so I've run the drip irrigation for 30 minutes total today. And my pottery shield was only so effective. So water is getting down into here. And looking down into the bottom, I know the lighting is pretty dark, there is some water, but I think that's a combination of what has made it through over 30 minutes. And then also here at this joint, there is a little drip that keeps showing up. And it's very, very minor. I'm not worried about it. But that drip trickles down. So those 2 things are what is getting water down there. And those 2 things were enough to get some water. You might see some liquid like right there. And it is more liquid than I would expect it to be, but at least I know it's not a raging leak anywhere. Part of it is just the emitter being right here. And then part of it is, going around my sunflower, this joint. But that is really, really, really insignificant almost. So I think I'm going to cover my little area back up, give my sunflower some of its dirt back, and not worry about this. Thank goodness. All right, it is covered up. That grass will grow back in, weeks. It won't take very long. Sunflower never seemed to care. I think I spared his roots for the most part. And otherwise, I'm just happy that I'm not having to do any irrigation repair today. Now I'm going to rearrange those drip lines and make them look more normal. And this project is done. But for some more fun news, my snap peas are producing. I've got some, I haven't picked any yet, but they're actually starting to size up a little bit. Cute. And the flowers, my favorite state fair zinnias, are looking very healthy. I just gave everyone a little bit of fertilizer who looked like they needed it. And then the Hale's Best Cantaloupe I transplanted are looking good. I've got some Lemon Queen sunflower that I saved myself. So proud, germinating. And next to them, I have the silver slicers popping up over there. In this bed, I did the Florida weave today for the first time. These are determinate tomatoes, and I want them to be supported, but I didn't want to use tomato cages because I do think they'll be bigger than tomato cages. So I did that with some bamboo poles. And I trimmed off all the lower foliage of my tomatoes today. Everybody got a pruning. You can see here on those. They here, nice and pruned. Maybe not as strict as what some people would do, but I just don't want to take away too many leaves when they're trying to grow. So right here I pulled out my Beet Alpha cucumber today. I think it had cucumber mosaic virus. I need to look at the pictures a little bit longer, but it was getting sick. Although it was as tall as the trellis, it was like a foot tall. I'm really sad to lose it. But from what I read, once it has that, there's really nothing you can do. And I didn't want it to spread to any of my other cucumbers or melons. But I'm sure these tomatoes would actually appreciate the space and not have to share with a cucumber, funny enough. And then over here I have my new things. I have a honey rock cantaloupe that germinated. And then over there I have my sugar babies that germinated. One got chewed on, the other one was stuck in the seed cap, so I took it out. And then I've tucked in some more marigolds, like right there. Popped a new little baby sparky French marigold in there and a couple other places. In my container garden, I need to harvest chamomile today. And my dwarf tomato has doubled in size, like in the last week. I gave it a tomato cage. I'm not sure how tall it'll get. I could put bamboo in here if it really needs it, but look at those flowers. And it's sharing a pot with a sparky French marigold that has started putting on buds. And here's my zucchini situation. I transplanted my zucchini start and I thinned it to one right away, and this one was a good healthy one. It's under some insect netting, weighed down by sandbags. It's growing really fast. I know I'm gonna have to adjust the netting, but for now this is all I need. It's like putting on a leaf a day. I haven't grown zucchini in a couple years, and so I'm just enjoying how fast it grows. I have it under this netting because we get squash vine borer here in Georgia. So I know the squash vine borer came through last year, like mid to late May. So I fully expect it to be under attack any day now. But everything else over here is thriving. Lemon balm is booming. And my Thumbelina zinnias are starting to put on their first buds too. They all have made it. This one was getting chewed on, but even this one is holding on. And good news with my seed starting area, my nasturtiums, the jewel mix, all of a sudden I got 3 to germinate just in the last couple days. No idea what happened or why they decided to do that. Maybe just they needed a little bit more warmth and we warmed up again. This is one bush bean remaining from my compost testing, and it is putting on its own green leaves, so I think actually all the compost was fine. And I hope it is, because I didn't label my testing beans, so I had them all mixed up together. I don't know which compost bag this came from anyway. But all the places I've put the compost so far, everything is doing fine. I've noticed that my beets are all looking yellow, like all of a sudden, like in the last few days. So I realized that maybe are needing some nutrition, and I used some soluble fertilizer at half concentration in water just now and drenched them with that and some of the other things like that basil. I just tend to have an issue getting enough nitrogen to my plants at the start of the season, so I always have had to supplement, even though I've been amending with compost every year in the fall and the spring if needed. So these guys weren't getting enough nutrition. Now I think they're going to grow better because I've given them some instant soluble nutrition. And I transplanted another sparky French marigold there, looking at it there. And even some of like the little zinnias back there, just a little bit yellow. So basil, a little bit yellow. Everybody's got a little bit of nitrogen. The other beds, the full sun beds that I just showed you, don't really need that kind of support because that soil has been built up for like 10 years with compost every year by our neighbor. So that they just don't need as much nutrition support. These beds are only 2 years old, so they do still need a lot of support. And in this bed, I'm happy to say I have a lot of things popping up that I just threw in the ground. So I have, it's so hard to see, but I have a little cosmos there. These little Picotee Cosmo. I cracked. I said I wasn't going to grow any, and then I thought, you know what, more flowers. And then you can see this green thing rearing its head out. This is a lima bean. I've got some lima beans popping up. And I've got some chocolate cherry sunflowers and some lemon queen sunflowers. I think these are lemon queen as well. Maybe the seeds got moved when I was watering, or maybe I did like a little strip of them, but that's definitely gonna be a lemon queen sunflower, and those probably are as well. I think I meant to have that as a row. I'm gonna have to thin them obviously, but I was starting to lose hope. I didn't think my lemon queen seeds were good because I had saved them myself. So these are the August seeds from that year. Those are germinating. But over here, this spot, I put some July 2021 lemon queen seeds that I had saved, and they did not germinate anywhere that I've put them. See, even these sunflowers are looking a little bit pale. So I gave all these things a little bit of my soluble fertilizer too. They're all just yellowing in the last few weeks. In my dahlias, I have given tomato cage supports because I know they're going to be giant. They're literally the giant mixed dahlias from In My Gardener. So they're gonna need that. They haven't grown a lot vertically recently, so I think that they needed some nutrition too, and they got it. And this is that lettuce bed that definitely is needing nutrition support and has been getting it. So they're actually starting to be like a pickable baby green size. And I gave them more nutrition today. This bed really must have not been amended. I probably didn't amend this one as much as the other ones because it doesn't get as much sun. But the peas don't seem to mind. Look at these peas. I'm gonna pick them today. I've been busy the last few days, so I haven't been in the garden as much. But you know, they're just huge. These are my snow peas. So I think we're gonna have them tonight with dinner, like as an easy, fresh side. Because I don't want them getting much bigger than that. Look at these. But if any of them do get away from me, I will be able to save the seed. I have saved pea seeds. The cross-pollination rate with peas is extraordinarily low because they are self-pollinated. So you really don't even have to worry about it. But these are all the same kind of pea anyway. My other peas are on the other side of the house, so it's not like a huge issue. Just the growth rate on this is incredible. So cooling off again in the shade garden. I never showed you on my last garden tour that I did put some Cracker Jack marigolds here. They are growing very well. And I lost one. It just was attacked every day for like 4 days straight. Animals, little insects just chewed it up. But I hope these 4 pull through because they could be like a big wall of marigolds next to some chives that are doing really well. And then the chamomile is at its peak. And again, I harvested a bunch of this like 5 days ago, and it's already ready to go. So I need to pick all this or else it's gonna reseed everywhere. But I love just seeing this big drape of flowers. And then I'm gonna pick some kale. Need some salad greens in my life. I'm trying to suppress some evil, weird clover. You can see some of it's on the side here. I hate this stuff. It really is hard to pull out. It's not like some of the other clover type things I have. So I'm just trying to mulch it out. And then I'm happy to say we've got some snapdragon buds. This one is like a really strong pink, it looks like. I did the apple blossom from In My Gardener, and I did the tall deluxe mix from like Fairy Morse. So this might be an apple blossom. They were going to be alternating. I had them like alternating colors the whole way around, but then a lot of them died off. So I don't know like what the alternating is going to be. But my nasturtiums here, I gave them some fertilizer last week because they're a little bit pale, but that just might be the variety too. And then here's, I think this is an apple blossom one from In My Gardener because of the peachiness. Very excited to see that. Oh, and I meant to say, over by my Cracker Jack marigolds, which are going to get huge, I tucked in my tester beans. They were so big I thought actually they might survive. My biggest issue with beans is that roly-polies will eat them. But at this size, they should be protected. Those are like burgundy bush beans. And then my Swiss chard here, I gave some fertilizer a day or two ago. Well, more like 5 days ago. And it really has picked up. So as the lettuce fades out, I'm hoping the Swiss chard comes in. And then there's some more parsley because all my other parsley is bolting. So I've got these 4 parsley plants. And then I have my parsley in my pot. So I should be good on parsley this year, hopefully. And then you see my thyme is just blooming away. This is common thyme that I started from seed 2 years ago. It's a bolting parsley. This is a Greek oregano that I swear has grown a foot in the last week. And I went through with these green onions, Tokyo long bunching green onions, and I had snipped off all the blooms I saw like 2 weeks ago, and they've put on so many more new blooms. So I'm going to come through and snip those some point soon. There's some elephant garlic that were little corms off the side of the elephant garlic that I must have left in the dirt in 2020, and this is 2023, so that's like a mature size one. I'll actually pull those this year. It takes a few years of them coming up and down to go from a corm, which is like the little knob on the side of the garlic, all the way into like its own garlic clove. And here's some bolting parsley, some more Greek oregano, more green onions and chives. These are the green onions that I transplanted from my winter sowing. Never start green onions inside, just winter sow them. It's so much less work. And this is like my biggest bolting parsley. See, they really don't need the sun. This is like maybe a couple hours of sunlight a day in my sorrel around it. So now that I have fertilized, tied up my peas, watched my irrigation issues, got to a stopping point on that. I'm going to let it dry out. My irrigation issues in the shade garden, I've at least marked where the 3 issues are. And my original plan is just to not bother with it. I'm really busy this summer. But if I feel like bothering with it, I can figure that out. Maybe tape it up. Maybe some sort of like plumber's tape just to get me through this year. And then I could like fix it properly in the fall. And then I've got some seeds out, so I am just trying to fill in gaps. It's still early enough in the season, just trying to fill in gaps. Got everything transplanted that I could transplant today, like those bush beans, some marigolds, and I transplanted a spicy globe basil. One of them had not bolted, so I threw the other ones away finally and transplanted that one. Thanks for watching this video, this workday video. It's the first one I've done because it's a little bit chaotic because that's just what I'm doing. I'm out here just knocking stuff out. But I hope you get a good feel for what it's like when I get to do a gardening day, just all the things that I get to do. So please subscribe if you enjoyed it and stay tuned for the next garden update tour as we see all these new seedlings pop up and grow and become actual plants.